Thank you for that. We're going to continue talking about this deal and the future of solar. One of the biggest solar developers in the world, First Solar, entering into a strategic partnership with Southern Company last year to expand their combined solar footprint. This while the entire solar industry is under a lot of pressure as investors worry about solar panels in the coming years, sinking the Guggenheim Solar Index down 33% year-to-date. First Solar down 27% year-to-date. Joining us now with more on the partnership and the future of clean tech is James Hughes. He's First Solar's CEO, and our guest host this morning is Tom Fanning. You guys have that partnership. Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk about your business in just a second, but I want to get your views on this idea of Tesla merging with Solar City. And by the way, what we haven't talked about is rebranding some of it. They want to actually sell some of these things under the Tesla brand.
You know, so it's such a different business model than our business model. So, you know, I don't really have a very specific view on it. So Solar City's focused on the residential retrofit segment. That's a segment we simply don't participate in. I don't want to be consumer facing. We don't think the economics are very good for solar on the roof. We build large scale, utility scale plants where we think the economics are compelling. Our customers are guys like Tom and the other big U.S. utilities as well as international utilities. So, you know, it's an interesting transaction.
But when you saw that, I was just going to say, when you saw the headline, did you say bailout? Did you say genius, no-brainer? What was? I just want to sort of get the sense from somebody in the business of what you thought.
I don't know if it said bailout. My immediate reaction was, man, that creates a really complicated business. And Wall Street doesn't like complicated business.
Why would a Tesla shareholder want to own
my reaction was more or less about what it means for Solar City and more about why would you want to own something that's that complicated?
We need to underline a point he made, though, and that is when we think about solar companies, they're not all the same. You are starkly different than Solar City.
Why do the economics make sense when you're building for a big electric utility versus being consumer-facing and putting things on rooftops?
So the cost to build a utility-scale solar power plant, the capital cost is less than half the cost of putting solar panels on a roof. And the capacity factor, i.e. the amount of energy produced, is a third more. So when you take those two factors into account, you get an order of magnitude difference in the cost of the electricity. So the electricity that we sell to utilities today ranges anywhere, depending upon where you are in the country or where you are in the world, from as low as 2.99 cents per kilowatt hour, a recent bid in Dubai, to 4 or 5 cents per kilowatt hour. The cost coming off the roof are numbers dramatically higher than that. Right. So it's simple cost.
Okay, but play out the business and the technology over the next 5 years, because the technology has come down in price so materially. Does it ever become cost competitive to put it on the roof?
I'm coming down at the same rate that they're coming down. So what happens is the wholesale price of power is now being pressured down by renewables that are of such low cost. So while you can say, okay, here's the cost trajectory on the roof, if your wholesale cost of power is also coming down, you have very low cost natural gas, you have very low cost utility scale solar, you have very low cost wind, you put all of those things into the wholesale power market, you end up with lower overall energy costs.
Jim, also talk about, Joe and I have talked in the past about how this kind of subsidization through tax policy of renewables is just crazy stuff. But that's what I believe. What do you believe?
So we were openly said we did not favor an extension of the investment tax credit. All we lobbied for was equal treatment of wind and solar. There were some differences in treatment. We said, whatever you do, we want to be the same. I actually believe that the investment tax credit today is a constraint on the growth of the industry because we're trying to funnel the entire industry through people that have tax capacity. It eliminates significantly large pools of capital from being investors. For instance, Tom buys product from us through his non-regulated business. Right. His regulated business, they are constrained in their ability to monetize tax credits, so it eliminates them as a potential investor. That's true of most regulated utilities across the U.S. That's a huge pool of low-cost capital that would be available for the industry. Big European companies, there's a lot of big European utilities, and they would love to invest in the U.S. in renewables. Again, they don't have the ability to monetize tax credits, so they don't have competitive capital as a result. So most of the benefit of the investment tax credit, in our opinion, flows to the pockets of the providers of the tax equity as opposed to flowing through to the cost of power. So at the wholesale level for utility scale, while there might be a slight increase in our cost if you eliminated it, you have larger pools of capital available, and you eliminate the opposition you get from Joe and others who are adamantly opposed to the subsidy. So
I know
we don't believe it's a net positive for the industry.
I know you like to bet on all sorts of technologies, and you don't want to be in one. But let me just ask you, long term, in terms of the new stuff that's out there, is solar it in your mind? Do you think that wind will ever outdo? I mean, when we sort of look at all the sort of plethora of stuff out there,
they're both very complementary technologies in that their production profiles are very different. I do, however, believe that as costs continue to come down, and they are going to continue to come down, you will see solar becoming a dominant feature in the marketplace.
Hey, and I agree with that. Wind will have its place. Solar is going to be more pervasive. Talk about the future and innovation coupling solar and storage and a lot of the misconceptions many people have there.
So, you know, a lot of people have this notion that, oh, well, the sun doesn't shine at night, and we have to figure out how we have storage to generate electricity at night. What those of us in the electric business know is we don't need any electricity at night. We have wind, we have hydro, and we have nukes that run 24 hours a day. We have more than adequate electricity at night. The issue for the utilities with solar is we produce a lot of power in the middle of the afternoon, and then we fall off in early evening. There's a lot of demand as everybody comes home from work. And so what the utilities really would like to see us do is integrate storage at the utility scale so that we can take some of that afternoon power and translate it over to the early evening hours.
But it doesn't have to go longer than that.
It doesn't have to go longer than that.
Strategy. We're doing that at Southern Company.
And one of the things people don't understand, big utility scale solar plants have a lot of excess DC versus AC. It's free. If we can store that DC and redeliver it in the evening, it's very cost effective.
Okay. Thank you, James, for a great conversation.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.